Next on Stampede.
Searching for a suspect.
Sometimes people can tell by just the shape or size or clothes or anything else.
The search continues for the person who vandalized campus in December.
Plus, the cost of cleanup. Recent vandalism has resulted in spending more on overtime and supplies. Find out how much it cost.
And breaking $40,000. The cost of Milligan is now more than $40,000 for the first time. Noah Parker asked President Greer where that money is going.
In sports, we have reaction to Milligan's new soccer coach pick. And Mark Fox answers our questions about why the former coach was fired.
And later, I'll have the story of how engineering students are putting their skills to work right here on campus.
These stories and more are coming up next.
Stampede TV begins now.
And this is the image released by campus security showing the person who vandalized campus in December.
According to the police reports obtained by StampedeTV, vulgar images were spray painted on the handprint buffalo at around 4:14 a.m., December 2nd. Graffiti was also painted on the pavement and sidewalks. Some of the paint is still there.
There is a video recording of the incident. Brent Nipper, Director of Property and Risk Management, declined to release the footage, but he did send it to the police. According to the incident report, the Elizabethton Police Department was unable to play the DVD.
No one has come forward with any information. Nipper asks that if anyone thinks they know who is in the picture to contact him or campus security. The recent vandalism led to increased supply purchases for cleanup.
Multiple incidents have led to maintenance crews working overtime on weekends.
Milligan College had an interesting end to this past fall semester. Explicit images had been painted and drawn in several different places across campus. Brent Nipper spoke to Stampede TV about the vandalism going on around Milligan campus. He spoke about how the investigation was going, trying to find the person responsible for these actions.
Obviously, somewhat limited in the type of investigation you can do. We, talked to a few people that we thought might have had some information about it, but didn't really have anybody that had any knowledge of it.
Nipper stated that because these things had been brought to his attention on a Saturday, some employees had to be brought in to clean up the vandalism over the weekend. His estimation of the cost of the supplies and the overtime worked by the employees was around $500. David Brown, the service manager of landscaping and grounds, declined an interview. However, he was able to respond to some of my questions over email. He stated that all we did was used a special vandalism cleaner and had to pressure wash some areas. Others that wasn't done with paint was done with chalk, so we only just had to use water. I did get the chance to talk with Teve Mushayamunda, who was impressed with how quickly Milligan took action.
They got it cleaned up really fast because, there was a concert going on and a lot of people were going to come in and see it. They didn't do anything about it.
Brent Nipper spoke of how the investigation is continuing so that this does not occur again.
Obviously kind of hard to tell, real clearly who that is, but sometimes people can tell by just shape or size or clothes or anything else.
So far, the expense for the cleaning of this vandalism has not been too bad, but if this occurs more across campus, then the total cost could get a little bigger for Milligan. This has been Dalton Smith reporting for Stampede TV.
Some graffiti still remains faintly on a sidewalk. Nipper says maintenance will continue to work to remove the markings.
Student government only needs to sell 10 more bricks to reach its goal for a new sidewalk. The sidewalk will replace muddy grass from across the library. Students and alumni can buy personal engraved bricks for $100 each. The SGA says these bricks provide a way for students to leave a permanent mark on the Milligan campus. The sidewalk will go over what has become a popular pathway for students to get to class quickly. The lack of a sidewalk and frequent use have resulted in a mud pit. SGA voted last semester for a brick sidewalk to take its place.
And sometimes it gets rainy and really wet and really muddy, and it's, we don't want to walk through mud on the way to class, and so it's just something practical that we could do to kind of help the students out.
It's not too late to purchase a brick. The deadline is February 18th.
Students took a trip to Houston over Christmas break to help victims of Hurricane Harvey. The group helped repair homes damaged by the storm. The majority of their time was spent focused on putting up new drywall in one woman's house. Their volunteer work saved the woman about $25,000 in home repairs. Eric Meadows went on the trip. He says it was an important experience for him.
her house basically got ruined. About 3 or 4 feet of water reached her home, not even because of the hurricane, well, in part because of the hurricane, but because they released the reservoirs. And so that messed up her home. So we just worked on drywall. I was just reminded how God uses and loves on people through people.
The Houston trip was hosted by SGA. They say they hope to plan similar trips in the future.
The cost of a Milligan education will be more than $40,000 for the first time next year.
Stampede TV's Noah Parker joins us now with details on where that money is going.
The 3-point increase amounts to more than $1,300. The increase was announced in an email to students in December. President Bill Greer says the overall budget is not yet finished. These rates are decided in the fall based on projected expenses so students can receive award letters and file their FAFSA information sooner. General budget allocations remain similar to the 2017 through 2018 school year.
It's important to build in adequate provision so again, we can take care of our faculty and staff with appropriate raises, but also cover those other additional things that are just going to go up.
As tuition provides Milligan's largest income, the increased budget requires rising costs as a balance to extra enrollment.
We want to have managed enrollment growth so that we're not fundamentally changing the culture and the feel.
The past decade has seen yearly growths of 3 to 7%, with raises between $1,000 and $2,000. Since Greer's 2011 inauguration, the percent increases have lowered. Dollar amounts have remained similar.
My wish would be that it would be 1% or maybe even nothing, but that would suggest that the economy is really stalled out.
Milligan's costs in the past decade have typically been a few percentage points above rising inflation rates, but the upcoming cost increase is within 1% of the college's anticipated 2.5% inflation increase for the next year. As for the students, rising costs can prove frustrating.
I didn't make $1,200 extra this year, though. I'm not going to make $1,200 extra next year either. So I feel like if the tuition's going to go up, we should definitely see a noticeable change in our staff and the school.
More details on the price increase are in the Looking Ahead newsletter sent to students last semester.
Thanks, Noah.
The spring formal is now once again That Big Party. In April, Stampede TV reported That Big Party had been renamed the Spring Formal without a Senate vote. SGA executives made the decision to help incoming students understand what the event is. But after a strong reaction from students, the name was put to a Senate vote. SGA Secretary Becca Guthrie says Treasurer Praise Gisharu was instrumental in the decision.
I think people were so passionate about it because it is a tradition and it's been called That Big Party for so many years. Praise brought up a really good point at the meeting, actually. She did this whole diagram about how it was really funny. She did this whole diagram about how a movie has a title, and so the spring formal should have a title. It should be called That Big Party.
This year's That Big Party will be April 14th at the Johnson City Country Club.
A new club has started on campus focused on recycling. Now, they are in the process of getting new recycling bins. Those bins will be funded by the physical plant. They'll go in Hart, Sutton, and Webb Halls. Sophomore Maddie Barnett started the club just a few weeks ago. Barnett says her goal is to encourage students to recycle more and reduce the amount of trash that ends up in landfills.
The recycling club will mostly be around to pick up recycling bins that we will place around the campus, and that pickup process is probably going to be weekly.
The recycling club is also welcoming new members. They meet weekly in the Sutton basement.
2 engineering students are starting a club focused on rockets. Josh Clemens and Stephen Shake are co-presidents of the new club. They hope to share their passion with other students and increase exposure for the engineering program. Currently, they are waiting on supplies. The main ingredient of their fuel is potassium nitrate, which is used in lawn care products and is thus unavailable. And reputable online retailers won't ship the potentially explosive material. They hope to eventually go to competitions against schools with more established rocket clubs. They also want to get a license to fire rockets that can go thousands of feet higher into the atmosphere.
Just being able to shoot stuff 5,000 feet in the air just because we mixed some stuff together in a PVC pipe. It's fun, honestly. I've had a blast doing it. Me and Josh both have had fun doing it.
The Rocket Club doesn't have a faculty advisor yet, but Shake says they're working with engineering professor Greg Harrell to make it official.
To-go cups are now available in the CAF. SGA Representative Logan Meek headed the effort to get cups for coffee, drinks, and ice cream. The CAF agreed to go cups as students return the stolen dishes. The SGA still has boxes in the dorm buildings for you to return plates, silverware, and cups. After the break, we'll talk with Brianna Toscani about a women's conference she hosted this weekend.
And later, Kayla Baker joins us live for a tour of the now completed renovations to Hopwood Christian Church. Stay tuned.
A shooting on campus. It's something we hope will never happen. But it seems to be happening more and more often. We asked questions and discovered what you should do if it ever occurs here.
You could have 22 city officers in that vicinity within 10 minutes.
Now guidelines are posted in every building. It's potentially life-saving information because we're in this together. We're StampedeTV, Milligan student-operated news source.
You act like you've never seen someone do this before.
Because I haven't.
Really? I've been doing this for a while. Saves me a ton of money.
But we share this milk.
Then we're both saving money.
Today on Stampede TV, I'm joined by Brianna Toscani. She's here to talk about the IF gathering. So let's start with with what exactly is the IF gathering and what is it about?
Sure. So IF gathering has 3 different branches to it. What we're going to be taking a part of is IF local. It's a part of the ministry started by Jenny and Zach Allen to equip women under the idea of discipling a generation. So it is a live stream of a women's conference out of Austin, Texas, where there's worship sessions, panels, small group time, talking about Jesus, answering hard questions, being vulnerable, being real with each other.
That's great. So what is the goal of the overall IF gathering itself, the local part?
So the goal is to get into local church bodies or communities, giving women the tools that they need to create authentic community, to kind of bridge these gaps, because we read books or we watch sermons or go to conferences, but that looks kind of nitty gritty. How do you create that in your here and now? So that's what IF Local is all about.
Cool. And what's your personal interest in IF, and how did you get into it?
For me, I heard about it last year from a friend, and she was trying to get all of us girls together, and she was like, come and just sit in my room. I signed us up. We're going to watch it online. But over the past year or so, it's just become very important to create these spaces, these times to rest and to listen and to learn well in intentional community. Those are words that are all kind of thrown around at Milligan. So I'd like to do that, actually. And at first I was just going to sign up, do it with some friends, and I was like, might as well open up those doors to whoever is also searching for that too.
And are you starting your own outreach as well?
Similarly inspired. So IF Gathering does a really good job of creating a space of diversity where they incorporate different types of worship, appealing to people of different cultural backgrounds, different languages. They offer these broadcasts in American Sign Language and in Spanish. So kind of along the similar lines, I'm in the very early stages of trying to listen to maybe what God is calling me to do, to create these tools for people of other cultural backgrounds, linguistic backgrounds, socioeconomic backgrounds, and equipping them to get into the Word and know the Word.
How would you like to start that? What are the steps you're taking?
Sure. So in my personal life, I'm just trying to seek out and learn. I started a website. It's called Ore Collective. So ore is actually a Hebrew word, or is how you pronounce it, meaning light, to be light, to shine light. It has lots of different definitions, but essentially that is the gospel to me, to be light in a very dark and dreary world. So on that website there are devotionals in Spanish and in English.
And what are you expecting this weekend to look like?
So we're super excited. Tonight we are just starting with worship. There's going to be some panels, going to be some small group discussions, there'll be some food, and just generally a comfortable atmosphere. We're always looking for the one left behind and overlooked, so if someone coming through our doors that just needs to ask some questions and find some people to love on them, then that's what we'll be doing.
Thanks for coming in today. After the break on Stampede, a former Milligan First Lady was on board a recent Amtrak crash. Hear how she and her husband tried to help those injured, and later, student reaction to Milligan's new soccer coach pick. More Stampede is after this.
Family, friends, community, we need to help each other. Did you know that 1 in 5 people in the U.S. has a mental health condition? Our friends and family may be suffering emotionally and not know how to ask for help. Learn the 5 signs of suffering: personality change, agitation, withdrawal, poor self-care, and hopelessness. Then reach out, connect, and offer to help. Visit changedirection.org.
Graduation. It's one of the biggest moments for each of us. But overcrowding meant that we could no longer have just one ceremony. For some, this meant sharing the event with your entire family. For others, splitting up this community.
I know it's not expected and change is hard, but we had this idea. We would all matriculate together and we would all graduate together.
We provided you with a voice on an important issue because we're in this together. We are StampedeTV, Milligan's student-operated news source.
A train carrying Republican members of Congress collided with a garbage truck last week.
Former Milligan First Lady Clorinda Jeans Rowe was on that train with her husband, Representative Phil Rowe of Tennessee. Both are okay. The driver of the garbage truck died.
Rowe is a former doctor. He and others on the train tried to revive the truck driver. Rowe said that in a statement, his medical training never leaves him. He said his thoughts and prayers are with the driver's family and called the day shocking and devastating.
Congress has reached a budget deal to stop another government shutdown.
Senator Rand Paul took a stand Thursday.
I can't, in all good honesty and all good faith, just look the other way because my party is now complicit in the deficits.
The Republican from Kentucky held up a key vote that prevented a 2-year budget deal from advancing, resulting in a government shutdown.
We are in a terrible state as a country. $20 trillion in debt is bigger than our entire economy.
Paul is pushing for an amendment to maintain budget caps, but Senate leaders said that wasn't going to happen. Paul is placing the blame on both parties.
Nothing will be reformed, the waste will continue, and government will keep taking your money irresponsibly and adding to a $20 trillion debt.
About 2 hours after the shutdown started, the Senate voted in favor of a budget deal by a vote of 71 to 28. The House also voted in favor of the budget bill, which means Friday's government shutdown is the 5th one to last less than 24 hours.
Renovations are now complete at the nearby Hopwood Christian Church. Stampede TV's Kayla Baker joins us now live for a look inside.
Thanks, Emma. As you can see, after 8 long months, renovations are finally complete on Hopwood Church. Take a look behind you. The expansion adds space to the sanctuary and doubles the size of the fellowship hall. It also now has more accessibility for those with disabilities. Hopwood's renovation started back in early May with plans to expand for a growing congregation. The church went under renovations to the exterior, the sanctuary, along with the new steeple. It creates a more modern look for a church built back in 1834. Pastor Tim Ross joins me now. So what do you plan to do with the new space?
We're so happy to have the new space. It's great to be able to put more people in, for one. Secondly, the handicap and accessibility issues are so much better now. But thirdly, we really want to open this up for Milligan students, our friends here at Milligan. So if anybody wants to cook, if anybody wants to have a coffee house, if anybody wants to play music, we want to hear about it. And we want to welcome in Milligan students.
All right, thank you so much. As you can see, big changes are happening for Hopwood. Reporting live from Hawkwood, Kayla Baker, StampedeTV.
Thanks, Kayla.
Marlena Peterson joins us now with sports.
And she has details on Milligan's new soccer coach.
After the break, I'll talk with Coach David Lilly about his plans for the team. Plus, here's student reaction to the change. Sports is next.
Hammocks. They're one of our favorite pastimes. Student leaders promise new mounts behind dorms to make things even easier.
It's going to allow for hopefully 14 hammocks.
But when a year passed with no mounts, we asked why.
The hammock mounts that had not been installed a year after the plan was announced.
Those interview requests were declined. The very next morning, those mounts were installed. We stuck with the story until the very end, because we are in this together. We are StampedeTV, Milligan's student-operated news source.
This is what high blood pressure looks like. Talk with your doctor to create a treatment plan that works for you. Go to loweryourhbp.org.
Chiru has no choice. She and millions like her walk miles a day for dirty water. But together, we can end their walk by providing clean water close by. Instead of spending hours walking to get water that makes them sick, girls can be in a classroom, and moms will gain back time to care for their families. Sons and daughters can grow up strong, finally free of sicknesses. It's true. When you just add water, you change a life. Learn more at worldvision.org.
The men's soccer team now has a new coach after a 3-month search. With the recent firing of the men's soccer coach, athletic director Mark Fox was quick to find a new leader for the team. His choice for the job was David Lilly, a Milligan alumni, and it seems that he is happy with the decision.
I think brings a unique blend of soccer expertise, Milligan graduate, and passion and understanding of the college. We always like to employ people that understand our school, and we feel like Milligan's a little unique in a lot of ways. So he certainly understands that from several different perspectives.
Lilly seems to be happy to be back at Milligan as well.
I was lucky enough to be part of this program back in 2003, played here for 4 years, helped be an assistant coach for a little while, and then 8 years later I've now got the chance to come back and be the head coach, so it's extremely exciting for me.
He has already set goals for the team for the future while he's here, but what do the boys on the team think of the coach so far?
What conversation between the guys that I've had, we seem to all be very fond of him so far.
With the departure of the former coach, many of the team members left as well. How has that affected the remaining members of the team?
I think it has made a very big impact. We brought in 14 freshmen last year, and we only have 7 now, so half of our freshman incoming class left over the end of last season, which has left a big hole. We lost a lot of starters, we lost a lot of friends, if nothing else.
The new coach's expectations and goals are high for his new team. He says that he wants them to go big.
I want to win championships, and I think the guys know that that's my goal. I think they want to achieve that themselves. I think they're an excited group, they're ready to work hard, and I think that looking forward, this spring we're going to set the foundation for an exciting fall where the goal is to win championships.
He says he hopes to make his first recruiting class a top-notch group, and that he hopes to succeed during his time here at Milligan. Marlena Peterson, StampedeTV. Lilly has already begun training for spring scrimmages in the upcoming fall season. After former coach Adam Laney was fired in October, the Stampede has been asking for an explanation for his dismissal. Athletic Director Mark Fox repeatedly denied our interview requests, citing a Milligan policy that prohibits talking about personnel matters. He also told the soccer team not to talk to the Stampede. Fox agreed to speak with us at the press conference announcing David Lilly as coach, where we received an answer about Laney.
Coach Laney, we decided that it was time to make a change just because of our, we'd gone into a kind of a funk as far as our athletic performance goes, and we just weren't being as competitive as we needed to be.
After successful seasons 2 years in a row, the women's basketball team is currently fighting for their chance to participate in the conference tournament, but they're ready and up for the task. The team was at risk of losing their position. After facing some of the top teams in the conference in the past weeks, they've come out on top. Now they're wanting more.
I
don't think it's nervous. I think it's actually made us more motivated and more excited to play each day. It's always good having an incentive to play, and that's a pretty big incentive for us. But I think it's really pushed us to step up our game these past couple games, and I hope we can keep doing that through the rest of the season.
The conference tournament for the Lady Buffs begins February 22nd in Kingsport. And that's what's going on in sports.
Thanks, Marlena.
Coming up next, I'll show you a project engineering students are working on to provide clean water. More Stampede is after this.
2 national championships in 1 year. It was the first time it had ever happened before.
It was kind of one of those surreal moments, like at the time you don't really realize, the magnitude of what you've done.
When one person has an accomplishment, we all celebrate, because we're in this together. We are Stampede TV, Milligan's student-operated news source.
No doubt you're going places, young lady.
Thank you. And thank you for the interview as well. I can imagine it was the last thing that you wanted to do after such a long campaign meeting.
You really are a very intelligent young woman. You're very smooth.
You're very smooth yourself.
You have no idea.
You're watching Emma Albrecht and Dalton Smith, Marlena Peterson with sports, and the rest of the Stampede TV team.
Airband is next weekend over Family Weekend. It's Friday night at 7 in the Gregory Center. The cost is $3. Proceeds go to hurricane victims in Puerto Rico. Airband was moved to Family Weekend after low participation last semester. The Mr. Buff competition that is normally held at that time will be in April.
Engineering students are putting their skills to work on a system that will provide clean water to those without access to it. Students from the engineering department use the old water wheel at Buffalo Creek to create a small, efficient water purification system.
Well, Milligan has a very nice creek, right? So the Buffalo Creek running through campus is very, very pretty, and we also have a waterfall. So those two things put together speaks to an engineer.
A small group of the engineers took on this project.
It was really nice getting to work as a team.
Being able to apply what they learned in the classroom to actual problems was exciting for the engineers.
It was really a great escape from our everyday class environment. It was great just going with my teammates and going down to the creek. And
Dr. Alola brought the need for clean water to the engineering department's attention.
He's very familiar with the village, very familiar with the area, and so he asked us if we had any skills or abilities to help solve this dirty water problem, and so we dove right in.
Out of all the needs that we were evaluating, I felt that water was by far the most immediate need, because everybody needs water to survive.
By the end of the project, the engineers were proud of the work they had put in.
It was really relieving to see all of that, and it felt like all of our hard work paid off.
This project did not just remind students of the principles of engineering, but why they wanted to become engineers.
We want our engineering program to be very much hands-on, very much working on real problems that need a real solution.
It makes me feel like, even though I'm currently a student, spending a lot of my time studying and such, it's really nice getting to know that I'm already making a difference.
It makes me really proud to be an engineer and to be a Milligan engineer, and know that I'm not just a guy sitting behind a desk using a calculator and programs, but that I'm actually helping to make a difference in the world.
Emma Albrecht, Stampede TV. Engineering students will continue working on this project long term. This will be a senior project for some of the students.
And that's all for this edition of Stampede TV.
For the latest news information, visit us online at milliganstampede.com.
Or check us out on social media.
More news available in our print edition on newsstands around campus.
Thanks for watching. I'm Dalton Smith.
And I'm Emma Albrecht. Join us again for our next newscast February 23rd. Have a great rest of your day.